Vice President, members of Congress, distinguished guests, and fellow Americans. Today, we gather together amidst all the problems and disasters that are plaguing the world with hope. Hope because of all the acts of kindness we have witnessed through the situations in Palo Verde and in Japan, and because of what those acts reassure us. We have seen throughout history that whenever we put our hearts together and work out a problem, the problem can be solved. So, I am hopeful that at the conclusion of this address, we will be one step closer towards solving the problems that continue to trouble Americans. I am hopeful that Congress will help my administration and me push forth the plans we have come up with in the past weeks to help better the nation. It is during the process of making difficult decisions that defines those that are strong and weak through endless tests. And I know, with all that I have heard and seen, that the strength of Americans is what defines this nation. We love a good challenge, and we never shy away from problems. And thus, I am hopeful that the problems I will now address can and will be solved. I know that we are all concerned about the situation in Libya, and we must pull our efforts to avoid repeating our past mistakes and intervention. The United States will not be sending any ground troops or weapons. It will be reducing naval power and aircraft currently deployed to Libya, with enough military forces remaining to help maintain the no-fly zone over Libya to protect the Libyan civilians from Gaddafi's warplanes. There will also be proposals to the United Nations and NATO to participate in the aiding of Libyan rebels in the form of communication gears, such as satellite phones, under the DS&T3 provision, as well as other non-militant supplies in exchange for updates and information across the battle lines. We hope to work with the Provisional National Council, currently led by Mustafa Jalil, to bring democracy to Libya. Nationally, rising oil prices are affecting the lives of every American, and this recent oil price fluctuation is partly due to the situation in Egypt and Egypt's Suez Canal. With this in mind, I will be pushing to strengthen Egypt's economic recovery after its recent revolution against tyranny, expanding the QIZ, an existing economic agreement that has shown much success since its implementation, will promote further economic growth in both Egypt and the United States. I have also proposed an Egypt-American Enterprise Fund that I hope will greatly benefit our economy by stimulating private sector investments, supporting competitive markets, and providing businesses with access to low-cost capital. The SEED Act, instigated by former President George H.W. Bush, proved to be very successful regarding our economic relations in Eastern Europe, with an additional $5 billion raises in private capital, and thus I advise to base the Enterprise Fund on the SEED Act. The recent developments in the Middle East and the resulting oil price spike have made it very clear that the United States would be wise to become less dependent on Middle Eastern oil. To help smoothen the process of weaning off from Middle Eastern oil, I say we turn to our neighbor to the north. When it comes to crises like the ones we are currently in, it seems sensible to turn to our longtime ally and friend, Canada. Canada is currently our biggest oil supplier, but is not a member of OPEC. Buying more oil from Canada will not only help the price of oil, but also make sure that future oil prices will not be compromised by unstable politics. However, as we may forget sometimes, Canada is still a foreign country, and it is important that while we stimulate the energy markets of countries abroad, we also develop the energy markets here at home. I would now like to shift our focus now to what is happening at home. Although our economy is slowly stabilizing, I realize that unemployment rate is still high in sectors such as construction, manufacturing, and retail trade. My administration suggests a plan to encourage states to create more infrastructure plans in order to create more job opportunities. The federal government will give states financial assistance in the forms of grants and loans to jumpstart these projects. The purpose of this plan is not only to increase jobs, but also to give citizens more choices in transportation and create a greener environment. Living in an international world, it is imperative for our students to be equipped with necessary tools and skills to compete with those in other countries. Studies have shown that our children are lagging significantly behind in their science and math scores compared to students in nations such as China and India. Therefore, improving the educational quality in the United States is, without a doubt, one of the top priorities of my administration. There have been attempts in the past to reform the United States education, such as President Bush's No Child Left Behind Act, but they have not been successful. Research from the National Assessment of Educational Processes, which was used to evaluate the progress of No Child Left Behind, revealed that most schools continue to perform well below the national average, despite funding received from the national government. Even more alarming is that during the 5 years that NCLB was implemented in Texas, 135,000 students left the school system due to school pressure for NCLB required improvements. Looking at these facts, I am more determined than ever to improve the quality of America's education. Here is what I plan to do. My administration intends to improve school quality by establishing a national standard called the Common Core, which will be used to measure the quality of various NCLB programs, such as Race to the Top and Teacher Incentive Fund. The federal government will provide adequate incentive for states to adopt the Common Core by using competitive grants with $20 to $400 million available to each individual state depending on state's population and number of educational districts. In addition, I wish to promote more state involvement in Race to the Top. This will be achieved by increasing the number of awards given in the program, including a $20 to $200 million reward for most improvement in the duration of one fiscal year, and a $10 to $100 million reward for adequate implementation of standards written in the initial Race to the Top proposal. Moreover, I propose to increase funds allocated to teacher incentives and to create more jobs in the educational sector. The additional money allocated to the Teachers Incentive Fund will be used to raise the teacher entry wage in order to increase the number of educators. A separate fund within the Teacher Incentives Fund will be rewarded to teachers who choose to teach in schools, including Catholic schools, that involve large populations of impoverished students and in a subject that is lacking in educators. Finally, my administration intends to create a national teacher license to further measure and ensure the teacher quality of our nation. Schools are encouraged to hire students who have been accredited by the state and national testing. If a public school employs a teacher who possesses both a state and a national license, then the federal government will provide $1,500 to the public school to give to each teacher as additional end-of-the-year bonuses. Once these plans are implemented, I expect to see improvement to our current educational system. My administration is also greatly advocating for a transition to green energy. While corn is not the conventional source of harnessed ethanol, it is costly to grow, and using it for ethanol might drive up food prices. Therefore, I propose using switchgrass to harness ethanol by renting out federal land among small farmers who have obtained the license to grow switchgrass and therefore are qualified to maintain a healthy level of nitrogen in the soil. Using wind and solar energy in conjunction to conventional fossil fuels will help reduce consumption levels of fossil fuels down and therefore easier cut down on foreign energy. Thus, my administration is proposing the building of solar panels and wind turbine farms in areas where sunlight and winds respectively are strong and persistent. I would like to applaud the Department of Energy, which has generously offered to spend $28 million from its own budget to fund states with feasible plans in their research of the development of sustainable energy within each of their states. Lastly, while offering my condolences to the victims of the recent earthquake in Japan, I cannot shake the fact that the situation in Fukushima has raised the issue of safety of our own nuclear power plants. Thorium is an element that produces less nuclear waste while producing more energy than uranium. Thorium also holds the advantage of being more abundant than uranium, being an element easily obtained while mining for any common minerals. I propose to have many nuclear power plants in the United States switch from uranium reactors to liquid fluoride thorium reactors within the next 5 to 6 years. Plants that successfully make the transition should receive renewed leases and tax cuts for property, employment, and infrastructure. This also provides us a chance to create a thorium market, providing a market for more jobs for our fellow Americans. From the very inception of the United States, our citizens have been marked by the unique quality to feel, to dream, and to achieve. Today, I stand here asking all of you to continue this distinctive American trait. With passion and determination, our plans will reach all corners of our nation. With dreams, our ambitions will spiral beyond the borders of our country. We dare to feel, we dare to dream, and we dare to achieve. Thank you, God bless you, and may God bless the United States of America.